Unfortunately, Commissioner Bonnie Lowenthal and Commissioner Steve Neal will not be joining us today. But before we get started, I do want to wish a very belated, or actually it would be, well, a belated very happy birthday to Commissioners Olvera and Colonna. And we hope that your birthdays were happy ones.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much of you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to ask our executive officer to the board, Shauna Espinosa, will you please read the instruction for participation in today's meeting?
The Civic Chambers is not accessible for public attendance at our meetings or for in-person public comment. The Harbor Commission meeting will be conducted in a virtual format with the option to participate via teleconference pursuant to Assembly Bill number 361 approved by Governor Newsom on September 16, 2021 and Government Code Section 54953E1. Members of the public are invited to observe the meeting online at www.pob.com/webcast. The public can participate during public comment or on a specific agenda item via teleconference. Members of the public are encouraged to submit public comment requests by 1:15 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Members of the public who desire to participate on an item may do so by calling 408-418-9388 during the meeting, as long as they call in on or before 1 minute after the item is called. Enter the meeting ID 24822437402# and user ID £. When the item is called, you can raise your hand to speak by pressing *3, and staff will give instructions to mute your mic, and you can unmute your mic by pressing *6 and address the board at that time. Any comments can be made at PLB.com under the Commission tab, and email comments can be made throughout the meeting by emailing bhc@PLB.com. More information on this process can be found at PLB.com/webcast.
Thank you very much. I now invite you to join me and follow along, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let me point out again that after each agenda item is read, we will take a full minute to allow the public an opportunity to call in to comment on the current item. We will now take public comment via teleconference on non-agenda items. At this time, Ms. Espinosa, do we have anyone from the public who would like to comment on non-agenda items?
Not at the moment, but I've started the time.
Thank you.
President Wiseman, there's no public comment.
Thank you. We have one report this afternoon. Ms. Espinosa, would you please read agenda item number 1 off?
Presentation on the sister cities of Long Beach.
Thank you. I understand our Deputy Executive Director, Dr. Noel Hasagaba, would like to introduce the presentation. Dr. Hasagaba?
Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. Happy New Year and happy birthday to Commissioners Olvera and Colonna. I'm pleased to introduce You're welcome. I'm pleased to introduce today's presentation by the Sister Cities of Long Beach. And before I do, I would like to provide some context and background. In October of 2020, I provided a presentation to the Board of Sister Cities and the port's role in this initiative, which is anchored in the economic development framework that the board approved in June of 2018. Economic development is an essential function that supports our business development objectives and strengthens our relationships with industry and government partners in support of the regional, state, and national economies. The Sister Cities of Long Beach is a great vehicle to establish, develop, and cultivate relationships with international partners. And in addition to participating on the Sister Cities of Long Beach board, where both Joe Perler and I serve as the port's representatives, the port provided a financial grant to the Sister Cities of Long Beach in February of 2021. And since that time, the Sister Cities of Long Beach has been a very active and diligent partner in doing their important work, and they're here today to provide an update on all of their activities. On a personal note, I will say that the Sister Cities of Long Beach board is a very dedicated group of people who care deeply about their work and our city. So without further delay, commissioners, I will turn it over to Susan Redfield, who is the president of the Sister Cities of Long Beach. Susan?
Thank you, Dr. Hasagawa, and please let me thank each and every one of the Port Commissioners for allowing us this opportunity to bring you up to date on what we've been doing and to share with you our goals for the future. I had distributed our annual report, and I'm hoping you've had a chance to see it, not necessarily read it all. Thank you, President Weissman. But before I get started, I wanted to introduce you to the people from our executive committee who are with us today. That's Mike Vaughn, our chairman of the board, Diane Jacobus, who I have a feeling doesn't really need an introduction, Dr. Mary Barton, who's been involved with Sister Cities for a couple of decades and is a past president and current treasurer, Wendy Chow-Le, who has also been involved for a couple of decades with Sister Cities and is the current vice president at large, and Ann Huser, our recently retained executive consultant, who is really helping us move things forward. So now I'd like to get started. Inside the annual report, you'll see there's a copy of our mission statement. You do not need to read it now, but I will just focus on mentioning three things. As Dr. Hasagawa said, our objective is to create and strengthen partnerships between Long Beach and communities in other countries, to build people-to-people global cooperation, and to develop mutually beneficial exchanges with interests relating to cultural, educational, environment, and the like. I'm going to present to you basically three highlights that come out of the annual report without just regurgitating what's in there. The highlights are how we have achieved our mission. The second is how our international gateway status. And the third is our goals for next year. Could we have the first slide, please? So how we achieve our mission. I'm going to talk about the cultural elements first. And this is a picture of the Mascara dancers from Bacolod. The Mascara dancers from Bacolod. One of the things that we did during this is in front of the bandshell that the Sister Cities uses as its in-city headquarters. Because of COVID, we weren't able to have all of these wonderful cultural events, but we did a lot of stuff online, and we had a chance to add up all of the exposures that took place over the last couple of years with regard to cultural events from all of our sister cities. This includes parades, different programs, and the like. More than 300,000 exposures were identified with our multiple cultural events over the last couple of years. We had, let me see, I wanted to go on to art. We have, at the business luncheon, some of you were able to attend the Qingdao Business Luncheon. There was an art exhibit. You know what, I kind of skipped that we bring, what we like to say is that we bring the world to Long Beach. And so these cultural events are bringing the world to Long Beach. We had art events that bring the world to Long Beach. And we like to say that Long Beach, as a very international city, that the sister cities just expands on what we've had for many, many decades. We bring academic stuff from other cities to Long Beach. Exchange students with Yokkaichi, our digital pen pal program, which I think many of you are familiar with. It's been going on for 3 years since the COVID. We have medical exchange programs. We have a medical student from Phnom Penh who brings his medical expertise and experience to the city. Business exchanges include with Phnom Penh as well as Mombasa, who hosted a trade conference, and the Phnom Penh trade partners. Environmental activities that we bring to Long Beach include Yokkaichi's 14-year environmental summit program. Long Beach student, where they identify, research, present, debate significant environmental issues and topics. We also bring dancers from other countries, and anyway, lots and lots of this exposure that's coming into Long Beach. The second way we achieve our mission, we like to say we bring Long Beach to the world. So by bringing Long Beach to the world, we can look at, for example, Venice, where Mike O'Toole trains half a dozen or so students each year from Cal State Long Beach in a unique gondola rowing. And then he takes those students to Venice for the very famous, I don't know how to say it, but their big famous annual race. But more importantly, those students meet with other students from other countries, other young people. They meet with city leaders in Venice. They meet with politicians, business people, and they share their experiences and their work with from Long Beach. Other sharing of bringing Long Beach to the world is in Mombasa, where we have orphanage relationship and academic school relationships. Yokkaichi, that I've mentioned already. Rosarita Beach, we have a strong relationship in Rosarita Beach, where we bring books from our library down there and share what we do with our libraries and our young people with regard to academic reading. So that's bringing Long Beach to the world. And lastly, how we achieve our mission is developing these people-to-people diplomacy, citizen diplomacy, bringing together future leaders, young people from all parts of the world to create positive mutual connections. So you might think that these are similar to other exchange programs, but I think what distinguishes Sister City people-to-people diplomacy is the work with the consul general's offices, with the ports, both in their cities and ours, because almost all of our sister cities are port cities. So that leads us to the second part of our achieving our mission, and that is our international gateway status. You know, obviously the port is a significant international gateway, but the city of Long Beach itself, because of its international status, it's been a global city for so many years. And then several of our activities each year reinforce our port relationships, such as, sorry, my little computer's acting up, sorry, such as the Port-to-Port 25th anniversary celebration we had with Qingdao and the Shandong Port Group this year. That was held. Also, our digital pen pal project that I mentioned before, this is one of my favorite things that happened, is that the port has, the Port of Long Beach has supported the digital pen pal program for 2 years. But this past year, the third year, the Port of Qingdao got involved. They were so impressed with it, they gave us a $5,000 contribution to cover all of the scholarships that were provided to the student participants. We were so excited by that first-time effort, and we hope to replicate that with other port cities in the future. Now I'd like to turn to our goals for 2023. And we have 3 goals that we've identified. And this may look familiar to some of you because these 3 topics were the topics that the Port and the City of Long Beach presented to Sister Cities of Long Beach in an effort to move us to the next level of our functioning. The community goals, which is connection and enhancement, collaborative goals with program and project development, and organizational goals. So community goals. We're partnering right now with multiple nonprofit and economic development organizations in Long Beach as we design an international trade summit with each of the consul generals that looks to be held in Long Beach in the coming months or within the next year. You'll hear more about that in future months. Some of the people from the Port are already involved with this. We're looking also, that's number 1. Number 2, we're looking to expand the reach of our various community cultural programming. You know, we mentioned that each of our communities has these beautiful parades and festivals and activities and programs, but we want more of Long Beach to participate and enjoy the beauty of them. You know, one of the things that I like to say with regard to an international city is that I'm from the East Coast, where in New York we used to talk about our city was a melting pot. And what I didn't like about a melting pot is that if you stir it up too much, it kind of turns gray. It doesn't really look inviting. It's a melting pot. Everybody takes on everybody else's culture. But out here in Long Beach, we are like a quilt, and each of our unique international components is like a thread with a vibrant color, and each one is a different color, a different texture, a different shape, and they blend together like a quilt. And if you look at that quilt, it's colorful, it's bright, it's unique and distinctive. And that's how Long Beach is. And Sister Cities can be part of spreading that joy and that uniqueness, also in an effort that we can learn mutual respect. So the second part from community connections is collaborative programming. And we are so excited. This is my favorite part of what we're doing this in the coming year. We're working very closely with Cal State Long Beach City College, and LBUSD to extend programming. For example, Yokkaichi has expanded into 3 middle schools, with 3 middle schools in Japan, in Yokkaichi, Japan, to work together with the ultimate goal of bringing the kids together in Japan. We're working with the student international campus organizations at Cal State Long Beach to expand their engagement and involvement and develop additional programming. Leadership Long Beach got a hold of us this past year and asked if we could develop a program with Leadership Long Beach. This is really cool. Joining Long Beach students with those in Cambodia to help Tongla Sap, which is the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia that's experiencing serious climate change issues. Leadership Long Beach and their leaders would like to develop a program that could start to understand that and maybe come up with some solutions. And lastly, this coming year, with regard to collaborative programming, we'd like to develop some international travel opportunities. We're going to work with Rotary and other civic organizations. The third part of our goals has to do with organizational enhancement. And I'm going to ask Mike Vaughn to describe that, because he's been involved as our chairman of the board, been involved with Sister Cities of Long Beach for many more years than I have. Mike, are you able to talk yet on the...
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What I'd like to say is that with Susan and Ann Huser working with us, we have managed to reorganize Sister Cities so that now we have a board of directors that consists of 7 or 8 members from the associations, and then 8 members appointed by the mayor. With this, we were able to reach into the community and select our officers from people in the community that had much to offer us. And Susan and Ann Huser both have contributed greatly to that this year. So I'd like to thank them for their work, and I'd like to thank the Port for all that they've done in supporting our programs. Do you have any questions that we may be able to answer for you?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to congratulate you on all the work that you've done. These have been trying times these past 2.5 years, and to be able to continue the programs and continue collaborating not just with the other organizations in Long Beach, but of course our sister cities in other countries is wonderful. And so congratulations. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
Only thank you for the presentation, and the work you guys do is fantastic and inspiring. Thank you guys very much for this presentation.
Thank you.
Let's see, unfortunately I cannot see Commissioner Colonna, but I don't want to cut him off if he has something he wants to say. I guess not. Any other comments? All right. Well, thank you so much for first of all, for the wonderful annual report. It was really exciting to read about what each of the sister cities have been up to, and the friendship cities as well, and then what the organization of Sister Cities of Long Beach has been up to. So thank you so much. Congratulations on a wonderful program, and we look forward to continued interaction.
Thank you, President Weissman. It's my joy and pleasure to be involved, and we thank the board for all their support and help.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Espinoza, do we have anyone from the public who wishes to comment on the Sister Cities report?
No, President Wiseman, and we need to wait for, we need to pause the meeting until Commissioner Colonna can get back online.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Well,
may I ask a question, President Weissman?
sure.
May I ask Noel?
Actually, I don't know if you can, because if we need to pause the meeting, I don't think we're allowed to.
Yeah, Commissioner Colonna is back on
Okay.
line.
All right, Ms. Redfield, please go ahead, and then we'll hear from Mr. Cordero. Go ahead.
My question was only to Dr. Hasagawa. Can you think of anything I forgot to say?
Susan, no, I think between the comments that you and Mike made, it was very comprehensive. And again, we appreciate you taking the time to update our board and the port team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cordero.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to add, again, Susan, thank you for your presentation. And just a note of reference with regard to Diane Jacobus. Many of you are aware that Diane, for many, many years, this has been something that she's provided a lot of leadership in various administrations in this city. So special recognition to Diane on her ongoing involvement with this great endeavor.
Thank you. Commissioner Colonna, I don't know if you wanted to say anything. I didn't realize, it's hard with these virtual meetings that you had left us for a little bit. So I want to give you an opportunity if you have anything you wanted to say before we leave this item. I see not. All right. Is there a motion to receive and file this report?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second, Commissioner Colonna? Is he frozen? I think he's frozen. I will second it. All right. Could we have a roll call vote?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna,
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. And thank you again, Ms. Redfield and Mr. Vaughn, for your presentation. And best luck for continued good work with Sister Cities. That brings us to the new business and the consent agenda. I would like to pull item 4 from the agenda. Is there any questions or comments on consent items 1 through 3, commissioners? Seeing none, Ms. Espinoza, is there any public comment?
not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you. Do we still have Commissioner Colonna?
You should hear me, you guys.
Oh, there you are. Okay, great.
President Wiseman, there's no.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve items 1 through 3 on the consent agenda?
So moved.
So move. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Olvera and moved by Vice President Olvera, second by Commissioner Colonna. May we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 4. Will you please read, Ms. Espinosa?
Approve Second Amendment to Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Long Beach Development Services Department for the iDig Long Beach project to extend the project deadline.
Thank you. Our Executive Director, Mario Cordero, would like to comment on this item. Mr. Cordero.
Yes, thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. This item, I think, evidences the fact that, as we know, at the Port of Long Beach, our leadership is more than just moving containerized cargo. Among the many great things that we engage in is, of course, what do we do to improve our communities and our neighborhoods? And I think this item signifies one of many endeavors that we have ever since you go back to the Green Port policy. But this one in particular, I'm going to defer to Matt Arms to comment further and answer any questions that the Commission may have. But this item in particular really now moves us forward to ultimately now conclude our commitment that we made in partnership with the Long Beach Development Services Department to plant 6,000 trees in and around Long Beach. And I think, again, this is a great commitment that I think, well, without further ado, I'm going to now defer to Matt. It's under his purview, but I'm glad to inform the Commission that, again, here's another example of our environmental social governments in terms of what we're committed to do in the spirit of our sustainable and ongoing environmental stewardship. Matt, you want to comment further on this?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Cordero. Good afternoon, President Wiseman and Commissioners. As Mario said, I'm Matt Arms, Director of Environmental Planning. This item is a request to provide a time-only extension to the City of Long Beach Development Services for the iDig Long Beach project. This project was awarded $671,200 in funding under the Port's original mitigation grants program back in 2012. The project aim is to plant 6,000 trees, as Mr. Cordero said, originally by 2020 to capture greenhouse gas emissions. Significant progress has been made under the iDig Long Beach program. To date, Development Services has planted over 5,170 trees. Only 827 remain to be planted. In February of 2019, the board under the iDig Long Beach program, the board approved the first amendment to the MOU with Development Services to expand the list of eligible trees that can be planted due to a tree shortage at that time, because so many people were taking advantage of programs like this. There was a tree shortage. This second amendment, as we stated, is requesting to extend the project deadline to June 30th, 2023, in light of significant scheduling impacts related to COVID-19. Development Services, as you can imagine, has been very busy responding to the COVID pandemic on behalf of the city over the last couple of years, and they need just a little bit more time to finish those last trees. As you know, the mitigation grant program, the original program that was rebranded and in 2017 and modified into the current community grants program that we are currently operating. Since the launch of the original mitigation grants program and the subsequent community grants program, I'm pleased to say that we've funded approximately 175 individual projects, totaling just under $34 million in funding. Over the next few months, The community grants team continues to work on bringing new quality projects to the board for consideration. And over the next few months, we'll be bringing recommendations to fund even more projects under our recent energy efficiency as well as solar generation projects. We'll also be bringing over in the first quarter of this year our request for funding priorities for this year for your consideration. And then finally, later this year, we'll be presenting for the first time our recommendations for awards under the program for bike and pedestrian path. So that's exciting. With that, I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Arms. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Well, I will congratulate you, Mr. Arms, and our staff on this program. It, of course, first the I Dig Long Beach project on the planting of trees. I know the city has an ambitious goal to increase the number of trees in Long Beach, and I'm so pleased and proud that the port is contributing to that. And then for all the other programs as well, the solar panels, the bike paths, the pedestrian paths, the air filters, congratulations on this. Commissioners, if there is nothing else, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Ms. Espinoza, did we have any comments from the public?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. All right. Well, we do have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman.
Aye.
Vice President Olvera.
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That takes us to the regular agenda. Item 5, Ms. Espinoza, please read.
Approve membership with Southern California Leadership Council and the Center of Economic Development for 2023.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to address the board on this item?
Not at the moment, but I started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. In that case, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Vice President Olvera and a second from Commissioner Colonna. A roll call vote, please.
President Wiseman.
Aye.
Vice President Olvera.
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Ms. Espinoza, could you please read item number 6?
Ratify change order number 1, number 2, and number 3, and restore the executive director's authority for change orders to $200,000 for the Pierre G. Avenue Infrastructure Improvements Project.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Ms. Espinoza, do we have anyone from the public who wishes to address us on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna and a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinoza, may I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Would you please read item number 7, Ms. Espinoza?
Authorize partial release of retention for the Fireboat Station 15 project.
Commissioners, anything on this item? Is there any public comment?
Not at the moment, but I started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Colonna, second by Vice President Olvera. May I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Bringing us to item number 8. Will you please read, Ms. Espinoza?
Approve standard voluntary agreement with the California Department of Toxic Substances Control for the former Long Beach 3 manufactured gas plant in support of the Pier B on-dock rail support facility program.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on item 8? Ms. Espinoza, is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on item 8?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Colonna and seconded by Vice President Olvera. A roll call vote, please.
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Bringing us to item number 9. Will you please read?
Authorize Executive Director to execute Fourth Amendment to grant agreement with the California Energy Commission and approve amended subgrant agreements with SSA Marine, Total Transportation Services, Inc., and Build Momentum for the Zero Emissions Terminal Equipment Transition Project under the California Energy Commission grant agreement.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? Is there any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna and a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinoza, may I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Ms. Espinoza, would you please read agenda item number 10?
Authorize Executive Director to execute Fourth Amendment to contract with Climatech LLC for installation and implementation of a building management system.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment?
Not at the moment, but I started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion from Commissioner Colonna and a second from Vice President Olvera. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Bringing us to item 11, will you please read?
Authorize Executive Director to approve Fourth Amendment to contract with North South GIS LLC for Geographic Informational Systems Professional Services.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? Seeing none, is there any public comment?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item 12. Will you please read, Ms. Espinoza?
Approve conditional award and authorize Executive Director to execute contracts with Baker Electric, Inc. and Johnson Peltier Electric for on-call electrical services.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Commissioners? Seeing none, is there any public comment on item 12?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna and a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinosa, may I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Bringing us to item 13, will you please read, Ms. Espinosa?
Authorize Executive Director to execute a contract with South Coast Industrial Door, Inc. for on-call overhead door and automatic gate maintenance and repair services.
Commissioners, questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on item 13?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Item 14, Ms. Espinosa, will you please read?
Approve a baseline project budget and authorize spending for the LA04 pump station relocation project.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments on item 14? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna and a second from Vice President Olvera. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Ms. Espinosa, would you please read item 15?
Authorize spending to complete the preliminary design of the Waterside Emergency Access Project.
Commissioners, anything on this item? Questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinoza, may I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. We're now on item 16. Will you please read?
Declare the bid submitted by W.A. Rassick Construction Company, Inc. as non-responsive, approve conditional award, and authorize Executive Director to execute a contract with Charles King Company for on-call underground wet utilities services.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, could I have is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May we have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Espinoza?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. And that brings us to item 17. Will you please read?
Approve second reading of ordinance to approve the Pier B on-dock rail support facility project relocation plan and make the determination pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act that it is within the scope of the final environmental impact report for the Pier B on-dock rail support facility project certified by the Board of Harbor Commissioners on January 22nd, 2018.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have anyone from the public on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Bringing us to item 18. Will you please read?
Approve first reading of ordinance and approve 10th Amendment to ground lease agreement for approximately 16.93 acres of land located at 2450 Pier B Street, causing Marathon to execute and deliver a guarantor's affirmation and make the determination that the action is categorically exempt pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Is there any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May we have a roll call vote, please, Ms. Espinosa?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item 19. Ms. Espinosa, will you please read?
Approve first reading of ordinance and authorize executive director to execute Seventh Amendment to Railroad Right-of-Way Agreement for approximately 3.73 acres of land located at 2450 Pier B Street, causing Marathon to execute and deliver a guarantor's affirmation and make the determination that the action is categorically exempt pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there any public comment on item 19?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. And that brings us to item 20. Will you please read, Ms. Espinosa?
Approve second reading and adoption of ordinance to authorize enforcement of statutes and ordinances to the Harbor Department Security Division within the Harbor District and specified locations outside of the Harbor District.
Commissioners, questions or comments? I see none. Is there any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinosa, may I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Ms. Espinosa, will you please read agenda item number 21?
Approve the baseline budget, authorize spending, and authorize conditional award of a design build agreement with KG Access Inc. for the Security Annex Temporary Building Project.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments on item 21? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinoza, may we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item 22. Ms. Espinoza, will you please read?
Approve current project budget and authorize executive director to spend the funds for the fiber optic network enhancements and repairs project.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on item 22?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Bringing us to item number 23. Will you please read?
Approve current project budget and authorize executive director to spend the funds for the security technology lifecycle management project.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. May we have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. That brings us to the supplemental agenda. Ms. Espinoza, could you please read item 24?
Adopt resolution and authorize executive director to execute a lease agreement and with the district office lease attachment with Robert Garcia, a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, to allow for use of approximately 1,809 square feet of office space located at 415 West Ocean Boulevard, Suite 200, Long Beach, California. Make the determination that the action is categorically exempt from the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who wishes to address us on this item?
Not at the moment, but we started the time.
Thank you.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Vice President Olvera, second by Commissioner Colonna. May I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. And that brings us to item 25. Will you please read? Sorry.
Approve appointment of Wilson Long to the position of Civil Engineering Assistant, Julia Pongos to the position of Port Risk Assistant 2, Jason Martinez to the position of Equipment Mechanic 1, Jessica Concho to the position of Clerk Typist 3, non-career, John Acevas to the position of Traffic Painter 1, and Hector Rodriguez to the position of Gardener 2.
Thank you. I believe Mr. Cordero would like to address us on this item. Mr. Cordero?
Yes, thank you, Madam President and Commissioners. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge the great work that HR is doing, Sandy Woods and her team. Needless to say, filling vacancies has been quite a challenge, not just for the Harbor Department, for our departments overall in the city, for a myriad of reasons. But suffice to say, I think you see on the agenda that we have in our board meetings, the movement supplemental agenda in terms of filling some of these vacancies. So one in particular that I want to kind of highlight, and I want to thank Fred Greco and his team, our Director of Maintenance, is the guarding position that you see there. And that is in relation to, again, amplifying our in-house ability to do the landscaping services here at the port, as opposed to referring them to outside vendors in order to keep our mitigate our cost of what that amounts to. So I just wanted to bring special attention again, one to Sandy Woods and her team, and second to Fred Greco in addressing some of the issues and that we needed to address there. So with that, Madam President, that concludes my initial commentary on this. Unless any of the commissioners or yourself have any questions, we'd be more happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Cordero. And I would like to welcome all our new teammates. Also welcome Jason Martinez, who's transferring from financial management. Welcome aboard the port. I hope that you have a wonderful experience here, as most of our employees seem to have. So we're pleased to have you aboard. Commissioners?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Wonderful. Let's see. Is there any public comment on this item?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Colonna, a second from Vice President Olvera. Ms. Espinosa, may I have a roll call vote, please?
President Wiseman,
Aye.
Vice President Olvera,
Aye.
Commissioner Colonna.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. That brings us to reports from ex officio appointees. I'm sorry to disappoint you all by not having a report today on the 710 freeway, but I promise to be back next time. But we do have Commissioner Colonna, who attended the ACTA meeting on January 5th on behalf of the commission. Commissioner Colonna.
Thank you, President Wiseman. Just very quickly, we did welcome new council member Tim McCosker, who will now be chairing the corridor, and we are going to be missing the departure of Joe Buscaino. And also, we just did a matter of housekeeping matters with auditing firms that we've been hiring, and just got a report that our numbers are increasing as per what our expectation was through hopefully the rest of this year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Are there any other reports from ex officio appointees? I see none. That will take us to announcements and comments. Sean Gamet, who is our Managing Director of Engineering Services of the Engineering Services Bureau, is going to tell us. I understand that the Port of Long Beach received 3 awards from the American Public Works Association for 3 projects in 3 separate categories. This is always as wonderful news, Mr. Gamet. So please tell us.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, President Weissman and Commissioners. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it's a great pleasure to be before you this afternoon to recognize exactly what you just said, that 3 of our 3 different port projects have received what are called BEST awards from the American Public Works Association's Southern California chapter, and BEST stands for Building Excellence and Shaping Tomorrow. The American Public Works Association is a professional organization comprised of public agencies as well as engineering and construction companies whose purpose is to continually educate those working in the industry and developing public works infrastructure that improves the quality of life for the communities that we all serve. And to receive 3 different awards from such an organization is an honor and a firm recognition of the amazing work we do as the Port of Choice. No other Southern California agency received as many awards from APWA's Southern California chapter in 2022. Our $52 million Fireboat Station 15 project was awarded in the creative and innovative category. One only need to tour the completed station to see just how unique that facility is. Our $17.5 million Ocean Boulevard Coastal Bike Trail Connector project was awarded in the traffic, mobility, and beautification category, and it provides connections between the Los Angeles River, downtown Long Beach, and the port, and it's going to be very fun for our community to utilize that facility. Our $34.7 million double track access from Pier G to J project was awarded in the transportation category. And what a difference that project has made to our rail network, providing the ability to move an additional train a day through that area of the port. These awards, Commissioners, were received at a ceremony held in Lakewood on December 6th of last year, and that's where this photo comes from. And the teammates involved in the delivery of these 3 projects are a vast number. And I'd like to recognize and thank all of them for jobs well done, for their commitment, their dedication, innovative thought, and all they do day in and day out to help us to be our very best. And lastly, thank you, President Weissman and Commissioners. It's your vision and support that guides and allows us to achieve so many great things together. So just want to say a big thank you to you as well, and congratulations again to these teammates and the 3 projects. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gamet. It is the work that you and your team do is outstanding, and so I'm so proud that we were recognized with these awards, and congratulations, Commissioners. Any comments?
Well done, Sean. Kudos to you and your staff for sure.
Thank you.
Yes, good work, Sean. Pass it along.
Will do. Thank you. Thank you both very much. Thank you all.
Yes, absolutely. Again, I commend you on your excellent work. Commissioners, any other announcements, comments, or requests? Is there anything from staff? Any additional comments from our staff?
I don't believe there's any further comments, Madam President. Thank you so much. There's no closed sessions today, so I think we're all good.
Thank you. Well, I do want to say before we adjourn, I hope everybody had a wonderful holidays, a very happy and healthy new year, and another year. We're ready to keep making the port greener and cleaner and more efficient as we continue on with our projects. So I thank you all very much. Thank you for joining us today virtually, and the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, President Weissman. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.